for DataArchiva. We're going to be having a very action-packed half an hour today, where we're going to talk about something which is of extreme importance to most organizations across the globe, and that's the concept of the consequences of unmanaged Salesforce data growth. Before we begin, let me tell you, I have about 22 years of experience across various industries. I have been a part of the global strategy for DataArchiva from the perspective of how this has to be managed across the globe with our corporates. Priya, would you like to go introduce yourself also to our audience today?
Why not? So thank you, Anna, for introducing me. So hello, guys. So myself, Priya, and we, after working with the Salesforce Ohana from last 15 years and working with like a lot of customers, we always wanted to solve the major pain point of the Salesforce customers, and that's what we are existence, and we are so grateful because like we are so grateful and thank you to the Salesforce, their customers, the partners, and the way things are happening. So
fantastic. Nanda, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Hello, everyone. So I have around 20 years of experience, mostly in the product development on the enterprise side. And this is one of the products that I've been working right from the beginning. And it's nice to present this product for you guys, and probably you would like it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nanda, for introducing yourselves. Guys, let's begin this session today. There's a very important point which is important for us to understand from the perspective of what's happening from the concept of data growing at an exponential rate across the globe. Let me start off by a safe harbor. Please understand this is just an educational webinar. We are not trying to promote any products here, and we will always ask you to take an informed decision when you're going to be buying a product or a services from any organizations. With that, let me welcome all of you all once again and tell you all about something very important. Most organizations across the globe, if you see, do not have a proactive data storage management solution with them. Most of them is reactive. And that's a serious problem for a lot of organizations today, because they have been accumulating a lot of data, but they really can't find a way as to how do they really go manage this in a way where their business is not impacted and they can actually make sure that they grow at a faster rate in perspective of the organization. Let's move to the next slide. So let's look at some of the figures as to what is the source of data growth in today's modern world of this internet connected businesses. If you're looking at how Salesforce began in the year 1999, they started off with just about one Sales Cloud solution, right? And they were offering unlimited data storage space then because the amount of clients that they had was also limited. But over the years, if you see of the past 20 years, they have gone ahead and introduced so many different kind of cloud management systems for their clients, right? And this has led to a lot of business growth. A lot of good things have happened to a lot of businesses. But fortunately, unfortunately, data has also been growing at a very, very large space. And today, if you know, data is a new oil. And it's an extremely precious commodity. And if it is not managed, it's going to lead to a lot of heartburns going ahead. But what's happened in the modern times, that the amount of data storage space that Salesforce is offering, if you look at an enterprise version, it comes at a meager amount of 20 MB per user. And then you have the unlimited edition, which offers you about 120 MB per users. But that's not just enough. Because if you're looking at what's happening in the internet world, there is data being generated from IoTs, it's being generated from financial forces, from Paradot, from financial cloud, marketing cloud, you name it. Every bit of it is creating data. So what are we supposed to do? How are we going to manage this? Let's go ahead and look at what we need to do. I will hand over to Priya now, who's going to take us through some of those and solutions that we have ahead of us, followed by Nanda, who's going to give us a demo about a very, very attractive product called DataArchiva, which is going to really show you how solutions are built around this. Please go ahead, Priya.
Great. So you very well said, Arnab, and you set the context for us and make our life easy. So here, that's where that, as you said, that the sources of data growth, right? So started with the Sales Cloud, then it's a number of, right? Again, I say that I start with it's the innovation that Salesforce brings on the table to the customer is a tremendous. And we as a partner existed because of the Salesforce innovation, and that empowers us to think something and putting customer into the center point, right? And that's where, but when you look at the Salesforce new offerings, which is Salesforce as Customer 360 or Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, look at the number of acquisitions that, so number of, the number of companies they acquired so far. And what's the reason? The reason is there is a customer who demand that kind of cloud service. The Salesforce put them into their native infrastructure, and that's what they're offering these services to the customer, right? But if you look at the need of a organization is tremendously going, going like anything. And Salesforce is meeting this requirement of the customer, knowing well before that what is going to be happen, right? And that is where that they are leading the market today, and nobody is nearing to that one. What are the sort of solution that they are offering today, right? Having said that, now let's talk about when you say about 20 MB. That's exactly I wanted to just give a use case here. Look at in today's world, 20 MB. When you say 10,000 records or a 10K record, it's been nothing. A sales guy in a team of like a 5-7 sales guy team, they send at least 100 emails per day, and they receive 100 emails also, right? And if you look at the 200, it's probably a couple of months or maybe 4 months. And they are going to reach the limit of 10K, and this 20 MB is of course nothing. And we talked about only about email. How about the task? How about the email? How about the lead capture, the data, the all other activities they capture? It's not about a lead. Once it converts to lead management, account management, and of course your pipeline management opportunity, customer service. Now it's about Sales Cloud. Now Service Cloud. Now you have a survey. Now you have a chatter. So that one of the customer, if you remember that one of the customer who come to ask, and that is the chatter is also they are taking it. Absolutely. Because we use chatter is make the life like so easy, because they no need to enter this huge number of data, rather they can just chart it. But internally what it does, when they click on one I like your post, I wanted to comment to your post, and that's where that it creates also records. That is also part of your data storage limit. So we need to understand that where this data comes from. It's not about only financial force. It's not about the big solution. Inside what we use, everything comes. And more you look at, it is integrated with the Microsoft Office today. Absolutely. And the Gmail or the Google domain also, it's an integrator. What does that mean? That means anytime that you receive any email, that has been directly linked to your Salesforce system as well. It has been replicated. So those emails, and emails not calculated as a 2 kilobyte or a 2 KB. It calculates in actual size. And today's email, if you look at the HTML kind of email with a lot of things, it's even, it's a lot of data over there.
So Priya, let me ask you a question. Should organizations across the globe be concerned about the data storage?
Of course, and it was not the case in the 2009, and you put this right figure over here. But today, of course, we need to concern in the sense where business demand, they want more analytics. Why others are doing in the prediction way and AI way, and that we could not figure it out to whom to sell our product, right? We're looking at that. It is the data behind the game is the full game is behind Absolutely. The data, and that's what very said. The data is the new oil or the new currency, which define the organization growth and company. So now looking at that one, how they are going to massive data. Are they ready for that to manage it? Are they managing? How they making sure the way they are managing it is the right way of managing it? Right? Or is there some blindness? It is all about that, opening that the blindness, because we work with a lot of customers and a lot of organizations. That's where that we wanted to start.
Absolutely. Our audience today, Priya, would want to really know, the exciting possibilities when it comes to the solution making in DataArchiva. Please continue with the consequences.
Right, and that's the major part of our topic over here. What should be the consequence of this data growth? Now we understood that where the data generates from, where the data required, why the data is supposed to be more, because you need analytics, predictions, and all that one. But the next question comes up: if we have not managed properly, what would be the consequence? How you to know that in a system? What are the symptoms of that? Your data has been not, your growing data or your data growth is not managed properly. What are the symptoms from that? So if you look at in the either side is that will talk about the degradation of application performance. You remember there is a financial customer who comes to us and we are working with that.
Absolutely.
And I think due to Nanda that providing a solution in the right way because of the index field issue. Because the application when they developed, they were not aware of that what is the index field. And now the data, everything works well till 2 year and 3 year. When you start having millions of record into that one, of course it is going to this kind of problem. So consequence could be, of course, the degradation of application performance, then significant increase of data storage cost. Now Salesforce data storage cost also comes within some price. You get that your ROI where you pay the licensing, like the license cost of the Salesforce, but that also comes to the data storage cost. Now there is a good news which I'm going to share that what are the options that you can reduce the data storage cost, which I'm going to talk about that more into that one. But then other challenges in the compliance and governance, and then analytics become near impossible, because now if you look at, you have a lot of data, your standard reports and dashboard is also not enough for you to generate the data and to show that one. So you need to move it to another system, another analytics software to do that one. And then business scalability can be hindered, and then accumulation of unwanted data, which is really causing the problem. So these are the major consequences that we see that.
So well put, Priya. And people really need to know if these are the consequences, what kind of solutions can we look at?
No, if you look at the solutions that we have, the one of the solution data archiving, that business says that, and the industry says that the 70% of the data. Now I was asking this question to Arnav. Probably how much lead or how much partner or customer at a time they are working. Probably there are in the pipeline, there could be 200, but for a day basis or from last quarterly, if you look at it, you would be probably working 30% or 10% active partners customer.
You're so right.
Right, and that emails, the lakhs of emails or all the tasks and events that you generated after the closed or lost lead or closed lead, it's not being used. And why you cannot archive the data? So that the solution number one is you can archive your data and the backup and purge the unwanted data. Then you can do, so if you have unwanted data, you can take the backup as a CSV file, or you can use any other ETL tool that you can take the backup and can put it in another local systems that which could be cost effective with the cost of the solution. Or you can purchase the additional data storage from the Salesforce. You can keep continuing to growing your data, but that is not going to be enough, because your application optimization required must to have that one, because the time the application developed or any custom application or managed application that you are using it today, that might have developed a few years ago.
Right.
Either your vendor has to be optimized that, or you have customization, you need to optimize that, or you have an external data integration where you no need to keep your ERP data, the finance data, the purchase order data, and put it into the Salesforce. Rather, you're supposed to look for the Salesforce Connect, where you can connect through the external data sources. The Salesforce has various offerings. Now with this MuleSoft, you can also use the MuleSoft to get the data. Instead of putting the data inside, you can connect those systems and then you can see whatever you wanted to see, that is the read-only data.
So Priya, I have a question. If you're talking about data archiving, is that a secure way to manage your data?
Of course. So it is all the native. When you talk about the data archiving, which was the which are major, we wanted to talk about the one of the solution that we address of your entire data growth, how you are going to effectively manage the data. The first solution is that the data archive is the Gartner listed in the only native solutions available in the App Exchange today. And we are the first one who developed this data archive after validating, after going through the 100 customers pain point. And we talk about that. Last year we were in Dreamforce. We were amazed to see that people who are asking and wanted to know
that was for us.
Right. So of course it is completely native. It does not talk to any external data storage. Though we have a separate connector program, you can connect it. Data archive is itself a complete native, and it use that the powered by the big objects, which is that's what I was talking about. The Salesforce, again, one more time, I would not be very tired to saying thank you to the Salesforce about the innovation or that putting into that one. And probably they would thought that the data is going to be in a very showstopper or the blocker for their future, for their growth. That's what they come up with. And we would like to do, you should not feel as a victim of your success or your growth, because that is where the big object comes and reduce your 80% of the storage cost, which can take away all your unwanted data, or you can archive your data natively, and then you can still access the data whenever you want, and you can restore the data.
Yeah, I was talking to one of our customers about data archiver, and they were saying that, this is like a blessing in room for them. The way that they've been using it now, they didn't even realize that that's been sitting in the system for the past 6 months. So that was a fantastic feedback from our clients, and I thought I wanted to share this with our audience. So let's talk about the benefits of DataArchiva, Priya. One of the best benefits that DataArchiva has, that this is being tested with GovCloud. So what that means is that now DataArchiva has a client in the government cloud who's using this, and they're extremely happy with it. So that's another part of it. The best part about it is that this is a 100% naked solution. So you really don't need to feel insecure about, is the data leaving the Ohana and is it secure enough for me? And the best part is that it's a do-it-yourself app, Priya.
Yeah, do-it-yourself app. You remember the other client, that admin, they would have done that themselves, because it's an admin-based, the same Lightning and Classic which supported. It's so easy, which hopefully Nanda is going to show that after this. Then you can see that it just within a few minutes you can archive your object just by telling that what you want to archive, and that's it. And it's completely do-it-yourself app. You don't need to pay an extra money to anywhere else to do the migration. It takes care of the migration, no implementation, everything takes care automatically, and that's what the do-it-yourself app that we.
And Priya, the something part is a lot of our customers who are not really technically savvy. They have been doing it themselves and have been pretty happy with them.
And this is exactly what we learned from the Ohana. It is exactly the same thing. I never read a Salesforce book to try how to create a report and all that, because it's so intuitive and so easy for a business user, for any admin user, right?
Absolutely. So, and the best part is that this gives you an 80% ROI over a period of time. I don't see any other archiving solution which can give you this kind of returns when it comes to saving money on the Ohana. And the best part, it's Lightning ready. So if your organization is moving from Classic to Lightning, this is ready.
And we do work with the Salesforce technical team of the product team and make sure that it has been aligned.
Right.
The product has been validated, the security review, and all the tech review has been done, and that's where the product is, because it handles and deals with the data. And again, as you know, we have validated the solution with a big healthcare customer and with a financial customer, with the travel industry, or you say that name it, that all the 4 or 5 industries that we have validated, different type of industry across the countries. So
fantastic. So let's talk about all the features of DataArchiva. One of the best features of DataArchiva is it supports any data type at any level of relationship.
Right. When you talk about the data type, like you would look at that in the big object probably has a limited number of data type, and that's where the DataArchiva comes, and that's what the magic happens in the DataArchiva, that we take care of the all kind of data type. Though it powered with the big object, that we take care of that all type of data type. And good part, the customer always asked, you remember that asking, okay, I do have a very complex relationship and it can go to 10th level and 12th level. Exactly. So they are talking about account, case, comment, case activity, the attachment. They have certain other custom object, bunch of, if you look at the length of the relationship, why this relationship matters, right? So now the relationship matters because archive is all about taking the data away from your primary storage and putting into the big object or any kind of destination storage. In that case, once you delete it, the relationship data is bound to lose. So now we take care well of your data by taking care or by traversing your each of the level of your child object, and we take care and archive the data. So we never allow, it's a 0% tolerance of the data loss, and that we commit on to that one, right? So in the policy support, if you look at that, we support that schedule and API based. You can use a process builder, you can schedule and do that. And if you remember that the US government cloud that we are working for this state of Connecticut, the Department of Labor there, and what happened there when we called after 6 months and how things are going to just a health check. Now they said that, oh, I didn't know that. After the implementation is completed, we have not seen that screen whether it's working or not.
Right.
So can you just, so I'm in the phone, can you go and check that one? When they check that one, they said that, oh, it's all is working. Do I need to check periodically like this? Right. No, you don't need to. It's just a set once and forget forever. Right. That's kind of the app that we are talking about.
Absolutely. And there is this large client of ours who's in the financial sector, and they had this issue that if I'm going to archive and I have to take a particular record and try to restore it, can I identify it and restore it instantly for my customers in a just-in-time practice?
Because archive has always been, as an archive world, it's always been digital. When I have archived, that means definitely it's going to take some time to pull the data out and see the data. So those days are gone.
Right.
And it's the power by the Salesforce and the platform that we are using it here, where instantly you can access or even you can restore the data with the same relationship.
Right. GDPR is a big concern for a lot of companies going ahead. Priya, what's your comments about these?
No, exactly. With the GDPR, we have tested with the Salesforce GDPR team from the UK, and our app perfectly works with, though it takes moves your data from one place to another place, but all the GDPR, all the 6 things that it has to be taken care, it is taking care. Apart from that, is support seal and as well as the compliance ready application. And then we do have another app where you can archive data can be encrypted and you can store at rest. And then, as I said, the industry standard archive templates, like if a financial industry, you're using Service Cloud, you are using some other community cloud or Sales Cloud, you have templates that you can just plug and play. Immediately, you can open the mark within just minutes and hours.
These are fantastic features that all organizations are looking for when they're looking for a data archiving policy. Over to Nanda. Nanda, can you explain to us the high-level architecture of how data archiver really works for our audience, please?
Yeah, thanks, Arnab. So currently we support the big objects, where your archive data is going to get stored. In addition, I mean, that's native. In case if customer wants a non-native solutions, let's say they want to go to AWS or Google or any of cloud services, it also includes in-premise. That is also supported. So we have an additional component called DataArchiva. Using that, data can be stored even outside. So in nutshell, the archiving supports a wide variety of storage platforms that you can really use for.
So do you have something today, Nanda, to just show that how the DE works?
Yes, of course. Yeah, let me take to a demo. Just that will probably give you a idea of how the application looks like. So once you install the DataArchiva,
Share the screen or something like.
just a moment. I probably need to share the screen.
Let me check it here. So yeah, by the time that you can share the screen, why don't you read out some questions, enough that if you have get some of the participants.
I've been getting a lot of questions over the webinar, and one of the most important questions that I think is important for the audience to know is, can I archive my data in an external data storage system? This is asked by Sambit. And Priya, can you answer this for our audience, please?
That's exactly that Nanda was talking about in the slide, that DataArchiva has a connector called a DataArchiva, and which is again App Exchange privately listed, and customer can use to connect to their favorite destination, which it could be cloud, it could be a private cloud, the public cloud, or the hybrid cloud. And with any relational database they can choose in Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL.
Fantastic. Nanda, if you can show us how DataArchiva works, I think it's going to be quite exciting for all.
Yes, thanks. So once you install the DataArchiva, the dashboard that you're going to see. Yeah, so the dashboard has all the glimpse of current activity that's happening on the DataArchiva. You can see what's happening, like how much object got configured, how much of data got archived, the schedule and the current job and things like that.
This is quite a jazzy dashboard, Nanda.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our users will find it very easy to use.
So the configuration is pretty simple. All you need to do is go to the setup and then click on new, and you can select the object that you wanted to configure, and then probably pick an index, and then it automatically gets you all the child object of that particular object that you selected. Once you pick and choose these child objects, all you do is click done, and that's all you need to configure this object. And yeah, and once it gets configured, you will get listed here, and in the screen currently you can see these many objects got configured. And once you go to the manage of this object, you can also schedule the archive how you'd like to archive. For example, in this case, I can see that this is scheduled every Sunday, once in a month, from a period of January to December. And you can also define a filter policy, or the archive policy. So in this case, you can see archive all those case records, which is when the status is closed. You can define any kind of a complex SOQL query here, so you can use that. In addition to scheduling, you can also use a process builder way of configuring, and you can see that here this process builder is configured to archive all closed cases and by passing a record ID. It is as simple as that. And the second thing, the most important thing I just want to show is the data once it's archived. It's quite well integrated with your live data as well. And you can see I have opened an account record, and these are the child case records this particular account record has, and these records are coming from the secondary project archived. So, and you can also click on this detail, and this is we support both Lightning and Classic. On this screen, you can see that the Classic screen for this account record. And once you click on these cases, you can also see the details of these case records.
This is the DataArchiva screen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So all this data is coming from the archived storage. It's quite instant, and the data integrity is well maintained. For the end user, it looks as though the data is coming from the live data, but in fact, it is coming from the archived. So that's the beauty of this product.
And is it support that the relationship and the secure model also?
Yes, okay. Yes. And it takes care of all the relationships. For example, in case if you have any child records, you can actually see of those things as well. And this can drill down to any level of child. And in case, if you want to restore this back to your live system, you can always click on the restore, and it's going to bring it back your data to your live. So this is just to give a quick coverage, of the DataArchiva from end-to-end. Probably it has a little more features. Due to the time constraint, I may not.
But thank you so much, Nanda, for a fantastic demo that during the specified time that you had. But there's one question from the audience, and that's, as you're all aware that there's a recent change on the field audit trail from Salesforce, right?
Right.
Is DataArchiva supporting this, or how does that?
Right. So recent changes in the field audit trail is Salesforce automatically takes care of that. The customer has to purchase the FAT add-on they call field audit trail. The FAT add-on they need to purchase, which Salesforce stores as many days the customer want, right? And now that we continuously get this feedback, or people are coming and inquiring about the data archive, that we don't want to, we have a different way of storing the data, we wanted to store in different way. Now Salesforce is going to delete our field audit trail data, and they wanted to they wanted to see this one. So in this with this they can see this one, what I'm seeing, they can, of course, they can use a DataArchiva to take the backup, or they can only transport or archive the field audit trail into the big object or any other destination archive storage. They can access it without purchasing also extra FAT add-on from Salesforce.
Oh, thank you so much, Priya, for that. There is another question that I will take, and I'm afraid we're completely out of time. That would be a last question, and that is, Jason asked, my application performance is extremely slow because of the huge data in the system. How do we really manage this in an archiving world today?
I mean, that's a old problem that DataArchiva is going to solve. Typically, our customers do have huge data, and that's when they see the application getting degraded. And once you offload a bunch of data to your secondary storage using DataArchiva, naturally your application performance is going to improve.
Right.
I think, and also there are a whole lot of other benefits you're going to get while archiving. One is the cost of the storage, in addition to the many few things which Priya already highlighted in the earlier slide.
So in net, this is going to be a real saver for a lot of corporates.
Absolutely.
Right? Guys, thank you so much for joining today. I'm afraid we're completely out of time, but we will see you all again on